Over the last 12 years, I've made 666 one-of-a-kind dolls. To mark this spooky milestone, I wanted to make something a little on the dark side, so I'm making a gothic vampire doll, just in time for Halloween. If you're a doll maker, what's your next milestone? Let me know in the comments. I'm using my 26cm template for this doll. It's been a few months since I've made a doll this size. I love making the little 22cm dolls, but sometimes it's nice to be able to add a little extra detail. I'm always adjusting my templates, so my dolls are constantly evolving. Last time I used this one, I had trouble finding beads the right size for the knee joints, so I've sliced a couple of millimeters off the width of the legs. I've left the feet the same size though, so she can have some big chunky goth boots. I was going to use the white base fabric, but I really liked the silver grey I used for the werewolf last week, with the white fangs contrasted against it, so I wanted to explore that idea a bit further. I'm contrasting the grey with black and white stripes on the legs and upper arms. I want the theme for this doll to be quite monochromatic. Even with something dark and gothic, adding in some white details gives it a bit more impact. I'm stuffing the pieces with kapok. Kapok has its advantages and disadvantages. It's not as springy as polyester. It's a natural product, so it has a slight yellowy colour and it can be a bit dusty, but it packs in a lot more firmly, so it's easier to shape, especially in the smaller, more detailed pieces. I'm bead jointing all the limbs with some antique silver finish metal beads. Because I adjusted the template for the legs, these beads are fitting a lot better than they did on the previous design. I make small changes to my templates every few dolls. I don't think I'll ever just develop a pattern and stick to it. I'm often guided by the materials that are available, and there's always something new I want to try. I think I could spend a lifetime learning new doll making skills and still feel like a beginner. I'm painting on some long lace-up boots in acrylics with a bit of fabric medium mixed in to help it sit better on the fabric. It would be easy just to give her some black boots and paint on some grey laces, but I want them to look kind of old and dusty, so I'm mixing the paint a little bit. I'm loving this wider, rounder foot shape. A little white and grey on the toes makes them look a bit more three-dimensional and adds to the vintage look. The eye shading needs to be quite bold against the grey fabric, so I'm building up layers of coloured pencil in black and grey. These are Derwent Coloursoft pencils, which are high pigment and quite soft and smudgy. I've thought about trying pastels for the face shading, but I do like the control you get with coloured pencil. I think you'd have to be quite careful with pastels on fabric. It could be a bit messy. I believe pan pastels are vegan friendly. I know a lot of repaint artists use those, so it might be fun to try them on a cloth doll at some point. If anyone's tried them on fabric, please do let me know in the comments how you got on with them. Also, if you're British like me, do you pronounce it pan pastel or pan pastel? I'm going to give that a coat of fixative spray and let it dry while I find some suitable buttons for the eyes. I found these large, heavy gunmetal finish coat buttons in my stash. I think they'll work quite well, but they're maybe a little bit dull, so I'm going to file them a little bit round the edges and remove a bit of that coating and let some of the brighter metal shine through. I don't want to remove too much. It's subtle, but I think that's just enough to make them stand out. This is a piece I'm going to be using later for the dress. I bought this fabric glue from my local craft shop on a whim. I'd normally use the old super thick tacky glue to attach trim like this when I want a neat finish, but it does tend to sit on the surface of the fabric and it can leave a white mark sometimes, so I thought I'd give this one a try. It says it's waterproof and washable, so it should be pretty permanent on a doll. It's quite thin and it feels like it's kind of soaking through the ribbon a bit, but it does seem to be holding. The instructions say allow 30 minutes to dry and then iron it, so I'll leave that for a bit and go back to working on the face. I stitched the button eyes in place by sewing right through the head with some top stitch upholstery thread. Sometimes I find metal buttons have some sharp edges on the holes that can cut the thread when you pull it tight, but these are actually quite smooth. Those stitches on the back are all going to be hidden by the hair. I'm going to add some detail to the face, but first I want to see how that fabric glue is drying. That seems to have stuck really well. I'll be honest, I wasn't sure it was going to work, but I'm impressed. I'm going to use the same glue to fix some lace across the top. This piece will form the bodice of the dress. Once the glue's dry, I'll sew some darts in the sides and then fit it to the doll. The dress is going to be permanently fixed to the doll. The arms will be jointed to the shoulders over the top of it. I'm using the Derwent line maker pens to draw the face, then I'll paint some fangs in white acrylic. I thought about adding a dab of red paint to the tips of the fangs, but then I remembered this red glitter paint. If this sticks okay, I'm hoping it'll create a sort of shiny wet look. I've made her some underwear from black lace and sewn the bodice in place with a seam up the back. I'm attaching the arms with a couple of stitches through the shoulders. I want to allow for some movement, so I'm making sure I don't pull the stitches too tight. I'll fasten the thread off under the back of the dress so it'll all be hidden. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the like button to let me know. You can also subscribe if you want, so you don't miss the next one. She's really starting to take shape now. I think she needs a long full skirt with lots of lace. I've made the basic skirt from black cotton and sewn some white lace around the hem, but I want another tier on top of that. So I'm using some of this broad guipure lace. I'm going to hand stitch this to the skirt to make sure I get the placement right. I want the tips of the points to match up with the bottom of the white lace, so it just peeks out from underneath. Now I just need to gather up the top with a running stitch and stitch it to the doll. I'm starting to remember why I usually attach the arms last now. They really can get in the way. I've got some black and white acrylic yarn for the hair. This is from the Signet Seriously Chunky range. There's no need to make wefts with this. I needle felt it directly to the head, then I'll unravel it later. Most of the hair is going to be fastened up on top of the head, so I'm felting it all around the hairline. Then I'll use the leftover bits to fill in the middle section. As usual, I'm using the Clover pen style tool with 3 38 gauge needles. This tool makes it a lot easier to grip the felting needles and hold them in the right position so they don't bend or snap. I'll put a link to where you can find this in the description. I'm not going to straighten the hair for this one. I want to keep it wild and curly. I'm pulling the loose ends out as I unravel it, then I'll felt these scrap pieces over the rest of the scalp. I felt like she needed a focal point on the front of the hair, so I've made a little accessory with some offcuts of guipure lace and a little back charm. For the necklace, I decided on some polka dot grosgrain ribbon and this stunning antique silver effect moth charm. I had a bit of the lace left, so I thought I'd give her a shawl. I think it finishes off her outfit nicely. It gives her a sort of regal look and it's something to help her hide from the sun. Now all that's left to do is number and sign her on the back of the head. It's going to be hard to let this one go. I've named her Briar Deathshead. If you'd like to see more spooky dolls, check out the Halloween playlist on screen now and I'll see you next time. Bye!